So we got a little bit of a suspension upgrade coming for the Tacoma build today. All right guys, finally upgrading the rear suspension in my truck. This project has literally been on hold for months because of the COVID situation. Since I'm driving down to my buddy's house for Low Pro to get this done, he's got the plasma cutter, the welder, all that stuff that'll make it easier. Not to say it's going to be easy, but easier is the key word. This isn't going to be like a tutorial style video, but this is going to show you like the process for doing a shock relocation, specifically for King. These are the 2.0 with the reservoir, 12-inch rear shocks with the Bay Area Metal Fab shock tower relocation brackets, Bay Area Metal Fab hammer hangers. And of course, while I'm back there, I've got some new bushings from Energy Suspension and new shackles from Toyota. Since these usually go bad pretty quickly, it's easier just to repair them. Of course, got some stainless steel hose clamps for the reservoirs and some reservoir brackets right here. I'll put links for all this stuff in the description below, but I can't wait to get this stuff installed. I've literally had it in my possession since I think December, so it's been ridiculously long. Let's get to it. All right, as you can see, getting started here, got the rear tires off. Truck suspended, of course, safely with jack stands, not Harbor Freight jack stands, of course, only a fool would use those. Wheels, tires chalked up front. Gonna go ahead and remove these are the Bilstein B110 shocks and get those out of the way. And then next cut off and grind off all the factory rear shock mounting locations and get to the rear hanger right there. So a lot of this is just gonna be sort of time-lapse stuff showing you, you know, sped up, not exactly a tutorial, just showing you what's involved because it's not exactly a simple install, so let's get to it. Okay, to go along with the whole suspension relocate, these are the factory OEM Toyota shackles. Always good to swap these out anyway because they usually, like the bushings get messed up and it's just a pain to do them.
The bushings deteriorate with age, and it's easier just to replace the whole thing than swap bushings. Yeah,
and as you can see, he is pressing the new bushing in, of course, greased on the inside on a vise. And these are the Energy Suspension bushings. I will put a link for these in the description below. I want to say they're like 30-40 bucks, not too bad, but while you guys are doing this, if you are doing it, this is one of those things that's going to make your life, it's going to make the whole process just that much easier.
Because like, that Allen key can round out.
Yeah. If it gives us any problems, we could always cut them off because I'm not too worried about them.
Yeah, that's great.
They were good while they lasted though.
You definitely got your money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, these are so cheap. They're like 150 and nothing comes out, you know, nothing else in that price range comes close for the travel, so.
No, not at all.
It's like 10.94. If you have PB Blaster and you have older shocks like I do, definitely make sure you soak the bottom nuts and bolts and the top one a few days in advance. And of course here on your rear of the leaf springs, the leaf spring bolts and the bolts on the bottom of your shackle. And here is the ABS harness. You're just disconnecting that to get it out of the way. Just be careful you don't break it. Like you almost did just there. All right. It's always good when the bolts don't snap.
Yeah. If these snap, that'd be really nice.
I was gonna say, because these have been off a few times.
Yeah. Easier than I thought.
You know, it already moved just by yanking it a little.
Yeah.
It's good. That was easy.
This thing is the best thing ever.
I was gonna say, that's the thing you were saying makes it 1,000 times easier. That's a plasma cutter?
Yeah. So that just gives us better access to these rivets right here. Just that make it easier trying them off.
Hit it again.
Shock mounts. Thank you for the heads up. You all right? Did it fall in your chest?
Yeah.
I saw the hole.
That was warm.
Oh man. That chest hair is never going to grow back. Alright, so he used his plasma cutter to cut off the factory shock mounts as close as possible, and then obviously grind down all the excess. And there's the one on the bottom. And you mentioned like definitely be careful not to cut it too close to burn through the axle and have all kinds of headaches. Right?
Yeah, you don't want to accidentally cut into the axle tube. So what I did before I had my plasma cutter was I use a Sawzall instead to take off the brunt of it, and then use an angle grinder to like slowly chip away. So instead of a Sawzall, I use a plasma cutter.
Yeah, save a lot of time. And
yeah, for the upper mounts, what we'll do next is you can see there's factory welds right there.
Chop them.
So what we'll do, rather than just grinding this down, is we'll make some strategic cuts with an angle grinder and cut right there, right along that weld, right along this weld, and do all that, and then all these pieces will just fall off. So then all that's left to grind is the little bit of weld right here. Otherwise, we'd be here all day trying to smooth that out. I learned that the hard way.
Go through 30 grinding wheels and...
Yeah.
All right.
So what we're going to do now for these rear hangers is grind off the heads. You can either grind them flat with a flat disc, or I'm just going to cut them up with a cutting wheel and use an air hammer to knock it off. Once you get all 4 of them off, you can use this air hammer again and knock off the remaining bit.
Knock the whole thing free.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do next.
So if someone does not have access to an air hammer, which I would imagine a lot, what's the pain in the ass alternative?
So the way I've done this before I had any of these nice tools, was to use an angle grinder to cut off the extra.
Yep.
Angle grinder to grind the head off, and then you can just use a hammer and a chisel.
A lot of elbow grease.
3-pound hammer. It doesn't take too much, but you can just hammer it off.
Yeah. Toward the outside of the truck?
Yeah.
Or
come off this way.
Stop. Hammer time.
All right, so everything is chopped off for the most part. We've got a few burrs sticking out for all the bolts, I guess, or the rivets.
This is the remaining rivet. So what you want to do now is grind that flush with the frame. That way there's just barely any meat you got to pop out.
Yeah.
So for the side ones, if you got an air hammer, just air hammer it out. For the bottom ones, though, you cannot hammer it because you will just bend the frame.
Right.
So you can just drill it out, or I rent a ball joint press kit from the auto parts store and use a 3/8 inch bolt or 5/16 bolt and just press it out, and it'll pop right out. It's super easy, saves a lot of time.
Nice.
So sometimes they won't want to come out.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's moving. So he's taking a 1/4 inch drill bit to drill out one of the studs because it was stuck and being stubborn.
See?
Almost hit me in the face.
Surprise! I put too much grease on here.
Too much lube. Nice. So where'd you learn that trick?
I think I thought of it myself.
All right.
Or maybe I saw it on Tacoma. I don't know. I'll take credit for it.
So there's someone in the comments will correct you.
Probably.
drilling out the old holes to 1/2 inch for the new hardware. All right, so for the factory rear shock setup, you have one of the shocks on this side of the axle and the other on that side for axle wrap.
Yeah.
But on our shock relocate, they're both on the towards the front of the truck, right?
Right.
So do you have to be more mindful of axle wrap, or not like I'm flooring it everywhere and putting that much jerk on the axle, but
I've never noticed a difference on mine.
okay.
Take that for what it's worth. I don't.
And plus the shocks are a lot beefier than what I had, so you'd think it'd absorb more of that energy.
Yeah, they're valved a lot firmer. A lot firmer. Like,
okay.
Like you can't compress those things by hand. It's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was
Just
saying.
curious, and I wanted to share that in case people were wondering. All right, so we just got done grinding that smooth. I almost touched it to burn myself. I can feel the heat right there. There are a few slice marks. He's gonna weld those in and then just grind that smooth so it's a smooth, clean surface. And next is bolting in the new hangers with the new OEM Shackles, of course. All grade 8 hardware. Okay, so got the driver's side hammer hanger all installed, getting ready to do the other one, and we discovered it is easiest to get one of these bolts in place with it off the truck, because otherwise you just can't see the back to get it threaded in, which it was the one right here for the top of the shackle.
Yep, this one right here.
Yeah, because otherwise if this is already on the truck, like the top of the hammer hanger bolted in, it's just trying to eyeball it in there, it's just a pain. So we're getting it in right here, then just getting everything else bolted up. Both of the hangers are on in the rear. Next up, I'm going to shave off the bottom of the factory shock mount right there on the bottom. And we're just going to take off this outer U-bolt just to have a little more room there. And the bolts are pretty stubborn. Been a while since I've had these off, so we squirted them with a little PB blaster to make getting them off a little bit easier.
One down, one to go.
That's smooth. I see a bald spot though. Getting ready to tack the shock tower here to the frame, and it just so happens there are two perfectly clean, rust-free spots on the frame right here. What are the chances? These are my chicken legs. All right, one quick thing to point out, he is using to tack the tower on this hole right here in the frame, which I don't know what that's for. We thought it was a weight reduction or whatever. And he double-checked. At first we were assuming this hole was equidistant from the part of the bump right here, but it is not. The other side is a 1/2 inch back. So he's just moving the tower on the passenger side a 1/2 inch forward, so the towers are actually in the same position. So don't assume this hole, if you're using it as a guide to mount the tower, is exactly the same on both sides.
Man, this is sexy welds. Yeah.
Sexy.
I'm happy with that. Alright, those. Alright. Loosen up. Now I'm gonna get more water because that was tiring.
And now for some afterthoughts. Okay guys, and after all day, literally like 9:30 in the morning with an hour lunch, finished up about 6 p.m. So it's definitely an involved install. You're not just gonna slap it on, so keep that in mind. But after all day working on it, got them in. They look amazing. They felt great on the ride home. I can even tell, obviously just driving on the highway over bumps and stuff. Believe it or not, your boy's gonna get off-road this weekend and test them out a little. Hopefully I can get some good flexing pics. I can't wait to see the performance of these actually off-road, and this will be the first time I've actually been off-road in forever. So stay tuned for that. But I'm gonna jump onto the truck and show you just a few more things to wrap up the install. All right, first thing to mention, this clear tube hose right here is my diff breather, which I don't have a video for, but I'm going to actually extend this some. Not specifically related to the travel of the shocks, but when we were dropping my axle working on it, we were very close. We had to be mindful of getting this pulled out, so I'm gonna add, I don't know, probably another 10 inches to it just to make sure there's plenty of slack, because I have it round up into my cubby in the bed right there. But stay tuned for that, I'll update you guys on that. But one thing I wanted to point out, and I got this idea from my buddy, this is just a hollow spacer. I think I got it off McMaster car. I undid the bolt right here holding the brake lines in and added the 1-inch spacer. It has some of that like heat shrink tubing wrap around it just to make it black, and a longer stainless steel bolt to hold it on, but that just lifts both of the brake lines up 1 inch just to give you that extra insurance policy so you don't yank these out. These brake lines right here for the rear are +4s, meaning Each of them is 4 inches longer than the stock ones. Because the old Bilstein B110 shocks I was running are pretty much 11-inch shocks, so there's plenty of rear travel for those, so you don't want to yank those out. So don't forget to upgrade your rear brake lines. I obviously didn't include it in this video just because that was already done, but also keep in mind this little trick right here. You can just lift that whole bracket and get an extra inch. Maybe you could probably squeeze 2 inches, but the top right here of this is going to start maybe bending a little. Don't want to mess with that too much, but an inch is definitely doable, so keep that in mind. And that will do it for this video, everyone. Trying to wrap this up quickly because the trash truck is literally coming up the street to interrupt me. But if you enjoyed this video, again, not exactly a tutorial, just showing you what's involved in the rear shock location install, make sure you comment below and give the video a big thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for supporting the channel by watching this video. Help the channel grow a little bit by sharing it with your friends and family on social media. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.